So there's been a lot of uncertainty happening in the world these days, and it's really about giving way to transition. So in this episode, I really wanted to kind of focus in on a key word that I've been noticing that there's been so much, it's been very prevalent out in the news lately, and it's the word disclosure.
Yeah.
So if we can start there and move into a couple key stories would be good. What's your guys' take on disclosure? Because it's everywhere.
Well, I'll start with uncertainty in that, as every week goes by, there's a lot of folks who make a lot of money by sowing that uncertainty and fear. Or, I noticed that on YouTube, for example, there's more podcasts about, navigating the uncertainty, and it seems to be a constant reoccurring theme. So I want to go to where change is constant. And having lived several decades, there's always something that's going on that seems to be, quote, scary. And also progress keeps being made.
Right.
And so we get to the stage where I know one of the topics we're going to discuss today is about data centers. And that's a new thing. So, with every step forward, there seems to be some resistance. And then as we talk today, I'd like to bring that back to myself and then the ways that I, have been noticing that happens to me.
Yeah, I think that pretty much hits the mark. With every innovation, with every new innovation and creation and something that's new, it's going to re-stimulate areas that I don't have solid. It's just going to open me up to more and more things. And that's good. That's what I want. I want that expansion. I need that expansion. That's why I'm here, to evolve and grow. So every time there is a leap forward, it's going to uncover areas that maybe in the past I wasn't ready to look at, or I kind of set aside because I wasn't ready for it for whatever reason. So here with that, the whole change in the environments and things getting re-stimulated, everything from the Iran thing to the data centers and AI, and then we have other things going on economically. All those things are going, when they start coming up, they're going to re-stimulate things in me. And so that sense, any area that I don't have locked down and feeling really secure inside myself, I'm going to feel insecure. I'm going to doubt. The uncertainty is going to move in on me. So the key for me is, number one, maintaining the big picture of what I'm about, and then moving through this. To me, it's I'll be revolving around a little bit of the energy of inner leadership, because one way or another, these things are going to happen. There's not, the tide is coming in on this, and me yelling at the tide is not going to make a difference about whether it's coming in or not. So it's more about, how do I work with it in a way that's positive and beneficial to me?
Cool. So disclosure is also about, creating that transparency so that way we can get our own truths of what's right for us, in the sense of, is that story, how do I resonate with that story? Right. So let's move into the data centers, because that's something we talked about a couple weeks ago when we were mentioning some certain people becoming maybe governors, running for governorship, and then and how they were bringing up the subject of data centers, and especially in Iowa, because we've got a couple here and there that have been built. And so I just saw a news report the other day around that there's about 1,700 listed, but there's at least 4,000 being built right now in America. And that there's all kinds of issues with them. And as soon as I started hearing about the issues, I thought of the environmental people, and all those environmental people that were up and at 'em about, the green stuff and how the world is changing, and we've got all these issues, but no one has really talked about these 4,000 data centers that are, creating, they're taking the water away from different areas that they're in.
Yeah.
So I think over like 1 million gallons of water per day they consume. So a lot of the areas, it's in let's see, it was Texas, California, and Virginia are the big states right now where they're being built, as well as everywhere. But those have the majority of them right now. And so that, as well as the other thing that really hit me, was the noise pollution that they're creating. It's a gentle hum that's constant from the computers. And someone mentioned too that it's, when I was looking this up deeper, that it's actually it's like a torture thing that we've used in war before. So I'm like, what in the heck? So I want to dive into that a bit, because it just hit me on all kinds of levels about the disclosure of why have we not heard about all of this, with so many people, again, up and at 'em about, the environment and what do we do with our land. And I was just kind of like stirred up inside about all this.
Well, that's the way of the world.
Yeah.
And that,
Done.
that's
it.
It reminds me of discussions we had before about, when somebody has an interest in something. So let's take the fellow who runs, Meta or Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, is that his name? So Zuckerberg apparently was someone, as you're saying, that was Mr. Joe, pro-environment and green fuels and the whole green thing, but eerily silent about data centers because, like, as you say, until I found out, I had no idea it needed that much water to cool the systems. And yet it makes sense to me. The engineer in me goes, oh yeah, that's right. You're going to have all this heat dissipated and so on and so forth. But that it actually is causing noise pollution, or people say, wow, we live near them and you can hear them. And also now our water pressure's low, so it's funny what we get told and what we don't get told. And so, we're going to see inevitable progress towards data centers no matter what. But it seems to be part of the game of life of, people always needing to be alert to what's going on around them and have a voice and take a stand. But, it's interesting what they pick and choose to educate us on, until we're down the road with these data centers. And now AI, all the talk of AI and Googling things so you can get it in a nanosecond. See, so I go, well, I'm for progress, and let's do it in a way that's balanced and, meets the needs of everybody.
Well, that was the
find some
word.
solutions.
That was the word I was going to use. I was going to use the word progress. There's no free lunch. Those of you who have been watching some of the things that I've been doing know that I use that term a lot. This is one of those examples of, until we get balanced with it, this is going to be the sad price of progress. And that tide is, that ship has sailed. There is nothing going to stop this. Hence, the green movement being silent about this kind of stuff. Politicians that used to make a big stink out of stuff are silent about larger issues. And they are focusing in on some of the things that are genuine, like the noise pollution and what that's doing to the livestock, what that's doing to children and babies and so forth. So this kinds of things does have to get taken care of. But that'll become the source. The water issues and so forth, those kinds of things have solutions. They just haven't implemented them fully yet. And some of it's pretty exciting stuff, like using recycled wastewater to actually cool their systems. So it actually becomes a win-win situation where they're not using fresh water, they're using recycled gray water in essence. But it's that noise situation. And then, well, how do you get away from the noise? Well, you got to build it way the heck away from where people are, but then you have to extend the lines for the power transmission, right? So all of a sudden we have this price that has to be paid if we want more of this technology that we are going to get, and the benefits seem to be outweighing the negatives in the big picture, because we want AI to come and help us with more efficient cars and solutions to cancer and all kinds of things like that. But it's going to take an evolution to get there. And to me, that's what happens. I'm coming up on something that's going to advance my growth. There's going to be things I attract, like the law of attraction. I'm going to attract things when I'm ready to advance, to move forward. But I need to remember that it's going to come with a price, and that price is I'm going to have to move away from my old concepts. If I'm going to try to hold on to my old concepts while I'm trying to bring in the new energy, the new things in life, I am going to be at odds. I'm going to be at battle inside, because I'll have the fresh energy that I get around, and I feel excited, I feel elevated, I feel good. And then that's in conflict with, well, but what about this and what about that? So until I fully get on board with moving forward, the solutions are always obscure. They're not disclosed to me. They're hazy, or I get little glimpses of it, but it's not fully available to me. So that changes when I stand up and say, wait a minute, this is where we're going, period. So I can stop backpedaling. I can stop thinking about the past. I can be in the present. Now, what's the solution? Right? Because there are great solutions of when it comes to these data, like nuclear, or let's put it out in space, like I think Elon Musk wants to do, and so forth. And all those are actually long-term, clean, good solutions, but they're decades away. Right?
I see.
They're a long way away. Well, not decades, but they're a decade away or more. So we've got this transitional thing that we're doing. And for me, that's the same thing for myself. I'm amazed at when I'm ready for a breakthrough. That's the word for me. When I'm ready for the breakthrough, how things start coming into my life to prepare me and also push me. And yet I can resist that by not finding solutions to the problems that are coming up. These are the right kind of problems. That's the thing that I come home to. These are the right kind of problems. Now let's make those problems let's resolve those problems. But let's not try to recreate the past. Let's just come up and resolve the problems that come up from innovation, from evolution, from growth.
Interesting, because as you're talking, both of you guys, about this situation, and what really rings true for me is how this is very much about the intellect.
Yeah.
And then as we know, we have a balance of the intellect and our feeling part. And we have them, they can be out of balance, imbalance, but how to get a feeling for what's really going on when all of this is going on in our intellect.
Nice.
And that's kind of the way I want to go with this, because I've noticed, like for myself, in my job, I've really gained a lot of intellectual knowledge, and I'm almost at the end where I'm like, I mean, I can continually always learn more, but I feel like there's something else coming. And I know that I've talked to a lot of people, and I've been listening to a lot of channel things on YouTube, and people that I really like astrologically, and that we're coming into June, which of course is about leadership in our thing, right? In our programs, but there's also a lot about stepping into the leadership of your amplified psychic abilities. Everything is really expanding in a new way, like so are the data centers, and so are we. So again, this is kind of a mirroring thing, but how to keep that intellect and the feeling part balanced as we move forward. And I know for myself, as I'm anticipating, and I'm really excited about this, that there's new coming for me. Yes. And, I can't give you a picture of what it's going to look like, because I don't even know yet, because Spirit is working in the background. But as I'm learning, and, from my intellect and gathering all the insights I need for what I'm currently doing, and just then trusting and allowing the other part to meet up with that at some point, and then go, okay, Here's the next choice you have, Teresa. Here's the next thing that you can either say, I'm going to go that way or I'm going to stay this way on course. Because either one's a course, right? So I think that's where I really want to move into is the intellect, the feeling part, and how we're all in this moment of great transition that many of us, like I said, I've talked to other people, are like, there's some big things shifting right now, and we don't know what it looks like yet. What if you didn't have to navigate uncertain times alone? What if you had a steady place to land, a place where your intuition is strengthened, not dismissed, where your spiritual questions are welcomed, and where growth feels grounded instead of overwhelming? Welcome to Reawaken. Reawaken is a monthly membership for people who know there's more awareness, more clarity, more connection, and who are ready to access it in a practical way. Inside, you'll receive monthly life regroupings to realign and refocus, ongoing tools to strengthen discernment, intuition, and emotional awareness. This isn't about escaping the world. It's about becoming steady within it. It's about learning to trust your inner compass. It's about moving from reaction to awareness. And it's about remembering who you are and walking forward with clarity. If you're ready to feel supported, aligned, and spiritually grounded, Reawaken is here. Join us and reawaken the part of you that already knows.
So, what I hear you saying is, and you're reminding me that, so data centers, for example, represent AI for one thing, and more of our intellect, it's a mechanized intellect kind of a thing. You can Google something and get an answer, right? Or procedure. So it's great. And now we're going to, the other things are going to be disclosed, or you want to get into that now or mention that? So, like with the UAPs and extraterrestrials and, the data dump that's happening from the government. So there's apparently, for several decades, there's been knowledge of extraterrestrials. So now it's being brought to light. It's being disclosed to us. So we're going to have more intellectual information about all that. And I think you bring up a beautiful point. Like, so what do I do with this expanding intellect that I've got? All I have to do is just allow my feelings to flourish to balance out the intellect. And that's kind of what we're about, is helping people get in touch with their true feelings so they can begin to use that sensitivity, that ESP, that psychic ability, or they just know, work with their four spiritual gifts and become clearer in their awareness so that they do see the solutions in their own life rather than just what the obstacles are, and try to fight with that. So, we have links below to our memberships and subscriptions. So anyways, my theme is, how do we expand our feeling nature to balance the intellect that's expanding as well?
Yeah, that whole analogy that we use, and it's that's why we do those. That's why we do those regroupings and those memberships and so forth. We get together every month and regroup. It lets me get back into my feelings. It lets me get back into the creative place, because the things we're talking about with those data centers and AI, all those are there to help me do something. They're not creativity. It's not creativity. It's there to help me put my creativity into motion.
Organize
it. Yeah. So that analogy that we talk about, where, my feelings are like the power part of the car, and my intellect is like the steering of the car, and I need both, right? But I can't start thinking that the steering is the drive part of the car. It's not. And so I love that way you're saying it, because I have to balance that out. And I was just thinking about this last week and a half, I was been putting a lot more extra energy into my direction and what I want to do going forward. And in the green room, we were talking about some upgrades to the memberships and things like that, and to really start reaching people who need what we're sharing about, and expand on that. And so as I was in that environment and thinking about that and feeling about that, I've been focused on, and so here comes, by the law of attraction, here comes people into my life. Here comes thoughts and inspiration, and also old things bubble up, right? Friction between old family members or things like that will show up. And I think that the thing that I want to share here is when I have my energy focused, when I'm have that energy, I'm clear what the creativity is, I know what the feeling is, then when things move in, I'm able to direct it. I'm able to be organized. I had my own AI to be able to do something with it. And in this particular situation I'm sharing about, while there was this kind of a little bit of this conflicting energy and this little bit of friction between me and some people, I realized, wait a minute, this is the friction in the correct direction. Rather than all the old stuff, all the old maze that I can get involved with or they can get involved with, I'm starting to realize, wait a minute, this is actually moving forward. And it got me excited. It got me in the middle of the challenge and the little bit of the semi-confrontation. I realized, oh, this actually could be resolved, where in the past this was never a resolution. It was always this black hole. Right? It got me really excited, and when the conversation was over, although it didn't seem like a whole lot was accomplished, I personally felt like a breakthrough. And for the rest of the day, I was walking on water, man. I was floating on cloud nine. I felt great. So I just need to do something with that feeling. I need to let that creativity come through. I need to let that inspiration from the bigger picture, from spirit or the universe, whatever you want to call that, let that come through. Let it be firm in me. And I can't do that in my intellect. The intellect holds no firmness in my creativity. There's none there. It is, if I grasp onto a different idea, my intellect will go there. If I have some other interest, my intellect will go there. It holds no weight. It's just a means. It's a tool. But in my feelings, in my true self, that's where the true core is.
Yeah, it seems too that we're in this time frame at this moment where things are very ripe.
Good word.
Ripe for expansion, ripe for stepping into new, ripe for accessing the most, intellectual properties that we have ever been able to access.
Yes.
So, inner and outer. And so, moving into, June, and, the key word for our program is leadership. And it's really a time.
The theme for June.
Yeah, the theme for June. Yeah. So we're moving out of May, which was the theme of belong, which, Tom and I talk about all the time. We're like, holy crap. There was so much around that theme of how to extend what we're doing and how to really, amplify now. So we see down the road what's going to be coming and the fruition. And so moving into the keyword of leadership and that theme and that energy for June, to me, it's exciting because for myself, I've noticed lately that I've done some things that I wouldn't have done in the past because I was holding back.
Right.
And then what I noticed is when I did these certain things, people around me got a little stimulated. Mm-hmm. So it's also ripe for, like you're saying, like the healing. And I like when you brought up that, your scenario too, Tiger, because it happened to me too. So when these people got stimulated, I just stayed relaxed with it.
Right.
Because I felt in my soul and in my being and my energy that I'm moving forward in a different way. I don't need to, to be walking on eggshells because some people don't like this or like that. And it's just, it's a new way of moving for myself, because even though I'm a strong person and I'm a Leo and all that stuff, right? But I still hold back when I am around certain people and knowing that they're this way or that way, and don't say this. No, I say, like this past month, I was like, I'm just doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
and they can get over it. And it really worked well. And I can feel, honestly, I think that's part of the shift for myself that's coming. Did I say shift? I didn't say shit, did I? The shit and the shift that's coming for me.
Yeah.
It is stepping into my power and accessing that ripe energy that's really right now aware for all of us.
Well, I'm going to pass this baton here just a second because I want to hear your feedback on this, and it has to do with what you're sharing, because I feel that 2026 and moving into 2027 really does focus on inner leadership and starting fresh again. Like we've had not only but decades, plural, of getting to where we are now. And to me, that's that bigger picture. Again, why we come together and regroup on that, the services that we offer. It's, I know for me, it's a need. It's not a want. It's a need. I have to regroup.
What am I gaining out of this? What I'm doing right now?
And be able to regroup my month and how am I going? And oh my God, I'm not crazy. I just to be able to have that regrouping with other people. But the thing I was going to toss over there is I need to have empathy with people, but I can't have sympathy. I need to move forward. And there's that energy of, if I'm not cautious, I can wait for other people to catch up to me. I'm losing my momentum. It doesn't mean that I can't be of service. It doesn't mean that I can't have that hand ready to help people up. But it's interesting how when I'm holding back, I'm missing the energy for myself. I mean, my excuse or the person's excuse is about the outer. But in reality, it's the inner conflict of me moving past the old blocks, me moving past the old confusion. That's the resistance. The truth is if I had enough incentive, I would blow right past it, no matter who's in front of me. I would move forward if the incentive was strong enough. So that energy of making sure that I'm still being of service, but not catering with people. That was what I was when you and I have shared about that before, and I wanted you to expand on that if you would.
Yeah. So the theme in our home study for June this month is command of yourself is one of the opening lines that we kind of explore that. And it always amazes me because I hadn't seen that heading yet. And yet through the last week, I've been noticing, am I in command of my energy? And I've been put in situations where all of a sudden I'm starting to notice that I'm putting a little pressure on myself, that I want a certain outcome, after being of service or communicating my service, or people come in and they're all upset. And I like what you shared about, reminding me about empathy. It's important that I'm empathetic when they come in because they're under pressure and something's not working and they're really looking for a solution and they're all emotional. I need to be empathetic and respectful and be of service, but I don't have to be sympathetic because really that's just the pressure they're putting on themselves, is to be all out of sorts about what's happening in their lives or to their equipment or the things that are showing up for them. So I know that the more that I become aware of myself and I relax and be that spiritual being, so to speak, like how are you making this practical, is that the solutions become more obvious, or how to be of service becomes more obvious. And I can work with spirit to be of service and offer solutions. And that's where, that all comes through my feeling nature, which is that eternal nature that we all have. So this is how we're, here every day on planet Earth after decades of sort of being interested in the spiritual side of things. I find one of the things I want to share is that, boy, without me being aware of what is going on for me spiritually, what am I gaining or what am I becoming more aware of? Everything just becomes the same old, same old. It loses its luster, whatever the new situation is. And then over time, it's just kind of reliving the same patterns, the same tragedies over and over again, even if they're mini tragedies. Did you want to say something?
No, I just said being a victim.
Yeah. Rather than how do I move beyond this? But it takes a little noticing. Oh,
yeah,
I'm actually putting a little pressure on myself. Wait a minute, relax, just relax. This is what I tell myself internally. But I balance that with that sincere nature of wanting to be of service and still, communicate the things I need to communicate to people, what I'm being paid to communicate, what I'm being, the way. Otherwise, I'm going to go through life just looking for the escape and planning for the big retirement, so I don't have to deal with any of this anymore.
Right, and that was, and to carry, I love that, because carrying on, there's a thing that's been in the news, a phrase that's been floating around. Maybe some of you've heard of it. They're calling it now suicidal empathy.
Really? I have not heard of it.
Suicidal empathy. And it gets into where I want to help some people so much that I'm willing to, everything starts crumbling, because it becomes the big thing, whether it's financial or whether it's personal. But I was just regrouping about that. And for us, for people who are sensitive or interested in personal development, suicidal empathy, it doesn't hit the mark just right. Suicidal empathy is sympathy. It is getting involved in sympathy, because empathy is a powerful, positive thing. That when they say that suicidal empathy, they're referring to sympathy. That's what they're talking about. Or it's like when people say, "Oh, be loyal to yourself," or "I come first." People say, "Oh, you're being selfish." What they're really trying to say is greed. Don't become greedy. Well, that we'd all understand that, right? Instead of using the word, the selfish thing makes us feel guilty. But my point for bringing up that suicidal empathy is, we've even got to the point now where in Canada, one of the states there in Canada, Alberta, is talking about seceding from Canada, right? Now it's not gonna happen. But the point is that there's a situation there where more people now, the disclosure, more people are now starting to find out that they're funding, or they're running, having to pay for a lot of Canada. The one state is paying a lot for the whole thing. So it becomes, hey, wait a minute. Why are you imposing all these rules on us when we're the ones who are providing here? And so my point for coming back full circle to this is, I need that inner strength. I need that inner power, that inner leadership, in order for me to identify what it is and then move forward. Otherwise, without that inner leadership, I will go backwards into the old maze. I will find any excuse to go wrestle with confusion, to go blame myself, blame somebody else, anything to prevent me from going forward. But it's that inner strength, that purpose, that feeling that I'm not going to hold back and I'm going to move forward, period. There is no more discussion on that. Now, how can I do it in a way that will help people? How can I do it in a way that I earn more abundance? How can I do it in a way that I meet the people that I haven't met yet, that I need to? That to me, that's what I'm disclosing this to myself. I'm being honest with myself enough to bring it forward.
It also seems like it's all about choices.
Bingo.
Like, I have a choice to, dive into my spiritual part or my personal development and understand how to cleanse, how to keep my, my energy field in a certain way, how to be more aware of energies or people or situations that may not be suitable for me, that I may not resonate with. And then if I don't resonate with them, how do I move out of that? And so, having those choices, which is every single minute. And I'm around a lot of people that I recognize this too, because had choice in the past, or maybe I didn't choose one way, I chose another way. And so I recognize in other people, because, what we spot it, we got it, right? That, some of the choices people make on a daily basis can really change the trajectory of where they're going or how they're feeling or what they're experiencing. And, and I can see, because I've walked that path myself, is how people sometimes make it so hard for themselves.
Yeah.
When it doesn't have to be so hard. I think that also, goes to the spiritual part. Like, it's simpler than people realize.
Yes.
It's not complex. There's a lot of people in the world sharing a complexity to spirituality or a complexity to metaphysics or whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't have to be that complex. It's trusting, tuning in, and what are you feeling, and balancing that with the intellect. What are you learning? And so for myself, getting back to disclosure and how we started this conversation and the ripeness of this moment in time, it's really a profound moment to be alive and to be able to sit here and share like we're sharing, and to know that when those disclosures come forth, I recognize the transparency for myself, and I'm able to then go, okay, that's truth for me, or that's not truth for me. So yeah, so I guess that's where I want to kind of, winding this up, what we've talked about today and the disclosure.
Well, for me, it's realizing that I have to be patient as all this unfolds for me. And with myself as well. Like, if I have an interaction with somebody where I am putting a bit of pressure on myself, or I do react in the same old way. I made a joke as something that's not really a joke, or I, made something too serious and it's not really that serious. And whatever I sort of, become aware of what I'm doing, if I just relax and tune into my feelings and then I can always recheck with my guidance, but just ask, how could I do that better next time? How could I handle that better? And just accept, like, okay, well, I'm still practicing, I'm still learning, and be patient with the outer world, because we seem to have concepts about battling things through, and the fear moves in that, if we don't get this built, then these people won't let us, and so we have to do it fast and relax. Let's work with solutions, but let's not get so out of balance that we're going to hold everything up so we can't make any progress. Anyways, I guess being patient with myself is a big part of being in command. And I love what you were sharing, in that my awareness, my ESP, the psychic nature of me, is just, it's so simple. It's just having that flash of intuition and then following it. I have these happen all the time, and I ignore them once in a while, and then I go, boy, I was so sensitive. I picked that right up, And anyway, so that's, I guess, my wrap up for that.
Yeah, for me, I think the focus is just really remembering that the facts are in my feelings. I will instinctively know what I need. And now that may be covered up from time to time with all the thoughts and ideas and, the worries and guilt and all that kind of stuff.
Those human things.
Yeah. But the facts are in my feelings, and I need to come away from things every now and then, like you're saying, and really come back home and get that regrouping and have that time for myself. One of the things that was is shared in some of these home studies that we provide and the memberships and stuff, it was talking about the 3 loyalties. And there's loyalty to myself, loyalty to the small unit, loyalty to the big picture. And the loyalty to myself first is largely so that I can grow at my own pace. I can grow at my own pace. If I put my loyalties outside of myself first, I can't grow at my own pace. I'm constantly under pressure. I'm constantly under stress. I'm questioning whether I'm doing this right or wrong. And so coming back to home to that simple thing. And once I got it, I don't have to think about it. I can be of service. I can help people. There's no end to how much I can help people and love them and do what I need to do. And it doesn't feel right to be here. Okay, I'm going to move on. It's not a big deal. So it's recognizing when the tide is moving in, then I need to be mobile enough to get my boat ready to catch that tide, to be ready to do what's needed then, and not get stuck in all the rights and wrongs. That's one of the things we talk about in the regroupings is, wait a minute, are your likes and dislikes dominating what your purpose actually is? Because it happens to me. It's amazing how my preference gets in the way of what's essential. So bottom line is, I'd say the wrap up for me has to do with coming back home to that inner leadership, knowing what I need to be a part of, and letting myself move toward that. Let the solutions come and grab onto them and try it. Okay, that didn't work out as well. Let me find the next solution. Like, there is no going back. There is nothing behind me that's more important than what's in front of me. I can draw from the wisdom of the past, but never at the expense of the moment.
Well said, guys. And so if you are experiencing any uncertainty for what you're transitioning through right now and looking for some disclosure on what's a truth for you, we hope that we gave you some insights today to maybe support that. And also, please make sure to check out our Reawaken membership down below, where we do offer those monthly regroupings. It's a great way to understand what energy you're working with each month as the energy changes. And we'd love to support you in doing that. And so until next time, just take care, and we'll see you again soon. Bye. To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.